Activating the field in 5, Robert said through Caden's earpiece. 4. The glass sphere around him shimmered, curved walls laced with hair-thin gold filaments that brightened in sequence, like a fuse racing around a bomb. 3. Beyond the glass, the control team leaned toward their monitors. Robert stood behind them, focused entirely on Caden. 2. Caden swallowed. Dead time had always been a theory, a field that stopped a pocket of time. They sent plants, mice, an orange that came back with a bloom of mold on its peel. 6 trials, most survived. He was the first human. 1. A corona crawled over the sphere. The world lurched. Not a stop, a sideways tear, clean and merciless. Air, light, and the shape of Caden's own body yanked out of place, reassembled somewhere else. Cold burned his lungs. The lab vanished. Stone bit his palms. He was leaning on an altar the size of a car hood, its surface gritty with frost and carved with runes worn to ghosts. The air smelled of old dust and rain. This wasn't what was meant to happen. Time was supposed to stop, not split and drag him through its own rupture. Whispers slid through the stillness, not quite sound, more like the prickle of a word forming in the back of his skull. Mauldrin. The name landed hard, like a forgotten bruise. Before he could breathe twice, the same force caught his ribs and jerked. The altar, the room, the cold, gone. A battlefield open around him, the size of a city, and time had been taken by the throat. Men mid-shout with no sound. Banners stalled mid-flutter. Sparks frozen halfway between blade and armor. 20 feet away, a demon's claw hovered a hair from a soldier's face. Dust hung everywhere in a golden haze, each grain suspended. At the front line, a figure in pale gray armor held out a hand, commanding what Caden couldn't see. The metal drank the dawn and threw it tenfold. His stance broadcast authority. The knight's face was Caden's. Older, harder, a face hammered by years he hadn't lived, but still him. Behind that figure, not far and somehow vastly wrong, a presence rose like a column of heat, edges shifting, unformed, a shadow that bent the world's seams. It watched the destruction the way a mathematician watches a chalkboard. Caden took a step toward the armored version of himself, curiosity a hook under his sternum. The shadow figure turned its head. An unseen force rolled off it, slamming into Caden like a radiation wave. Pressure spiked inside his skull. A hiss bloomed behind his eyes, swelling until the world blurred. "Leave me be," the thing rasped. Lifting a hand, its voice vibrated straight through bone. Power struck again, raw and focused, enough to kill him outright if the field hadn't folded, flinging him backward into the torrent. Light shattered, the battlefield broke. Mauldrin, the name returned. No, multiplied. 100 voices, 1,000. The sound wasn't sound at all, it was a current running through him. Images smashed into him in jagged flashes. A throne room swallowed by fire. A city's spine sewn open and left to smoke. A creature the size of a bus bending over a glowing golden sphere, its surface veined like a living heart. He wanted to breathe and couldn't. His body stretched, thinned, threaded across places that remembered him. His essence spun like a paper scrap in a drain. Then, as abrupt as film catching on its last sprocket, everything stopped. Through the charred fragments, a man stepped forward as if he had been there all along. Older, broad-shouldered under a long coat. Silver threaded through his beard and hair. His eyes were iron, not unkind, not soft, unyielding. He recognized him. On field ops, Caden had caught that figure at the edge of sight. A tale that vanished the instant he turned. Never more than a few times, never proof. And now he was here, inside a world where time was supposed to be stopped. Around the edges of the stillness, hissed voices found a new word to hold. Doblin. The man lifted his arm as if to test the air. The visions collapsed like tents cut free of the ropes. He looked at Caden, and the look had weight. Mauldrin, he said. The word wasn't a name, it was a grip. It pulled him. Caden reached out without planning to, every nerve dumb with the need to know. Their fingers touched, and the world reversed its flow. He slammed back into the chair inside the sphere. The quiet sounds of machinery rethreaded themselves through the floor. Air rushed back into him, too sudden to feel real. A prickling shiver crawled over his skin. The air was still charged around him. "Caden, we have you," Robert said, controlled and thin in his ear. "Sit tight." He didn't answer. He couldn't move yet. The lab came back in slices. Robert giving orders, scientists staring at him. The thin seam of light under the observation door. The smell of working monitors and steel. They would ask him in 30 seconds, "What did you see?" The right answer was the one that wouldn't get the project shut down. The true answer was a mess of altars and armies, and a man with a silver beard whose name had already fitted itself to Caden's mouth. The door slid open. His team from the SDS agency, Science, Defense, and Solutions, poured in with a relief and a dozen questions ready to launch. Caden stepped out, still trying to feel solid again before he had to speak. Had it been real? He wasn't sure. The shadowed figure that had nearly killed him wouldn't leave his mind. Had that presence pulled him into the impossible moment? Was it even a moment in time? Or was it his brain breaking against dead time? If something lived in there, waiting, he couldn't put anyone else in front of it. The thought of going back terrified him, but he already knew he had to.